I'd like to use this design to explain the use of colour in GARDENCAD landscape drawings. I have a symbol here which I've made which is not part of the GARDENCAD library set, and if I select, say, one of these internal lines and we have a look in the properties box, should be able to see that its current layout's been made on layer 0. Its line type is controlled by whatever layer it sits on, so is the line weight, and it happens to be a polyline and its fit type is there. If we pick one of the outside lines, which is a polyline, the same applies. It's colour by layer and line weight by layer. So everything in the symbol has been made on layer 0. If I copy it, as I've done just under here, and put it on another layer, let me just show you the layer that I'm going to put it or have put it on. I've called it cyan layer line weight thick. So I've set the colour of the layer cyan and the line weight to 0.33. And if you look in the status line, I'm showing the line weight. If I take it off, line weights don't show. But can you see that the symbols in here, the entities in here, combine together and make a symbol? The properties of the symbol are dictated by the properties of the layer settings that the symbol is placed on. So if you want to make a symbol and want to make it as versatile as possible, you make it on layer 0 and then let the layer settings control how the symbol will appear. So if I move my properties box a little, if in fact I wrap a selection box around that, copy that symbol here, remember it's on layer 0, and I wrap a box around it again, and I create a block, and we'll call it temp 1. Oops, I've got caps lock on, so I'll take caps lock off. We'll call it temp 1, and as a pick point, we'll mark in the middle, and we'll say OK. What that does is turn that symbol into a single entity, and it sits on layer 0 with the properties that we've mentioned. If I now take it and copy it from here down to here, and I do what we've done in the one on the left, I'll put it on layer cyan layer there. And can you see that the block inherits the properties of the layer it's on? So that block is the most versatile way you can make a symbol block. It may not be the only way you want. You can see you've got to pay a lot of attention to the layer that the symbol actually sits on. If you start putting entities such as, say, the inner marker polyline on a different layer, then you would have to set the properties of both layers in order to control what happens to the block. So that's one way to handle colour in GARDENCAD landscape drawings. Now I want to show you a second way to handle colour. Well, let's now make the symbol using a different technique. The wiggly lines in the centre, let me pick one of them. What I've done there is set the colour. I've set it explicitly. I've said that line must be yellow. No matter what layer you're on, no matter what the settings are in the drawing environment, it's always going to be yellow, and it is always going to have a line weight of 0.33 millimetre. If I pick the outer lines, they're slightly different. They've got colour 63, a greeny colour, and line weight 0.35, slightly heavier. Now if I take that symbol there and copy it and put it on a different layer, one of the layers we've looked at before, I've gone to put it on layer AA green. Now if we moved this one up here, remember there, if we move that from layer 0 to AA green, its colour will change to green. So anything made on layer 0 and left by layer, when moved to a layer with different properties, inherits the properties of that layer. But in this case, because we've explicitly set color and line thickness there, even though we move that symbol onto a different layer, and that layer has at least color settings and probably line weight settings, nothing changes. We've explicitly set the information in that symbol. And again, if we turn this one into a block, let's do that. Create a block. Our previous one was temp 1, let's call this temp 2, and as our pick point, put in the center there, and we'll OK it. And let's just pick that one and move it from that layer. We'll put it on a red layer this time, and no change whatsoever. So you can see, I hope, that managing color in landscape plans can get a little tricky. It's just important to use this properties box when you are puzzled and just select an entity. Let me pick that one there. So its layer is 0, its line weight is whatever the layer settings are, whereas we come down here to this one here, its weight is set and its color is set. So it's really, the main difference here is just properties by layer or properties explicitly set. So that's really the second way, if you like, of looking at color. The third example is to set entities by block. If I select all of those entities and I say their color is going to be determined by block, their line weight by block, and I can even set the line type by block. So we've changed the, whoops, undo that, and back they come. So if we pick any of these entities, it's by block, by block, by block. And that differs from what we've had previously. So let's now do our usual thing and copy, pop it over here, and we'll make a block of these entities. So we'll right click, create block, mark a pick point in the middle, we'll call it temp 4, and we'll convert to block. So we can say OK. So that's now a block. It inherits the color and properties of whatever my settings are, and my settings are currently by layer and by block and by block and line weight and so on. Let me illustrate. Let's pick the settings. We'll go to our current color, which is currently by layer. We'll give it a color green, and then we'll insert that same block. So draw, insert block. We want temp 4, and we insert it. Remember, our current settings is green, so in goes the block and it will be colored green. So whatever I set my current properties at, this type of block will inherit those colors. So if I change the color setting to something that stands out, we want a nice pinky sort of color, and we'll set the line weight to something really heavy. So I'm running with color 191 and line weight 0.8, and I'm going to insert that block again. So draw and insert block from drawing, temp 4, and OK it, and in it comes. So we've got a very thick line, and our color is that 191. So I hope you can see that depending how people, and that includes you, depending how you make your block, the properties will sometimes trip you up, especially where this by block is used. So I would encourage you early on, when you're making your own symbols, make them on layer 0 and make everything by layer, and that will make the use of your symbols a lot easier. So you've got at least 3 different ways of handling color, line type, and line thickness in CAD drawings.